Good afternoon from Los Angeles and happy Friday. It's Alissa, Coram, and Ed Carson here. And Ed, it was definitely an edge of your seat kind of session today. Give us a preview of what we're going to be chatting about.
Well, we're going to be talking about why it was important to buy correctly on Tesla. And meanwhile, a couple of stocks, Five9 and Cloudflare, are setting up fairly nicely. But yes, as you say, it was a very volatile day on Wall Street.
That it was. We did finish up for the day, not as far in the green as we were towards the beginning of the session, but the Nasdaq closing up with a gain of 1% today. The Dow up 1.9%. The S&P 500 up 1.3%. And, at the end of yesterday, we said that 21-day line was going to be a key level. And that was definitely what we were watching today very closely.
Yeah, and it was very volatile, and you go back and forth, and we were looking at even intraday charts to look at these things. But we held the 21-day line, and it closed a little higher than that hash mark there, but it wasn't the greatest day. It wasn't conclusive, but at least we didn't go decisively lower, and so that was positive. It was positive that the S&P 500 moved moved back above its 200-day line.
Right.
The Dow and Russell are still well below that level, but it was just wasn't the greatest action, but at least there was some positive action after a big sell-off. I wouldn't get too excited going forward, and there's not necessarily a lot of stocks to buy right now, especially after this latest shakeout. But you want to see the market battle back, and we'll just have to see how it goes next week.
Yeah, we'll be keeping very close tabs on that. But let's shift our attention to some individual names. You mentioned, Ed, the importance of buying stocks at the right time, not buying them too extended. And Tesla here pulling back today almost 4% and slightly above average volume, just 2 days after crossing that 1,000 psychological level that it did.
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of euphoria and a lot of conversation talking about that, but this is why you don't buy it. It's a hot stock, it's a hot stock, but if you bought it well over 1,000, like 1,010, you'd be down quite significantly, especially at the lows of the day. Whereas if you bought at the breakout, either there or some early entries further in that handle, you'd be still with a comfortable gain. You might decide to, cash in your gains, but you'd still have a profit at the very least. And so that's in general. It's not just Tesla. Any stock you want to try to buy within that 5% range. It's because there's a good chance of a pullback. That's normal. This is normal, but you don't know. Maybe it keeps on falling, and if you stick with it, you've got a big loss. If you sell here, it might just rebound right back up again.
Yeah, very important, those buy and sell rules, and really taking the emotion out of trading, especially on a week like a session like we saw yesterday and even today, because we did dip in a negative territory for a little bit there. So it's important to keep your head on straight.
When you're running up day after day, we did for a while, you think, oh, I can buy this, it'll just keep running. It's like, well, it can turn around very quickly on the market or individual stocks.
Yeah, so true. But let's take a look at an enterprise software name that was holding up nicely this week, even with the huge downdraft that we saw on Thursday. Five9 closed with a slight gain. It closed slightly lower today, but a nice rebound off of that 50-day line here today for our stock of the day.
Yeah, I mean, it was nice action on the 50-day, and all week it was really on the weekly chart. It was finding support at the 10-week line, moving back above that. We tend to say if you can find a nice bullish rebound off the 10-week line, the first or second test, that's an opportunity to buy a stock after a breakout. Maybe buying it here or buying it after this week's high, which was Thursday's high. That would be an opportunity to get into this, at least start a position, in a fairly strong stock.
Yeah, and last but not least, let's take a look at Cloudflare. The ticker there is NET, and this is another one that has been showing relative strength this week, trading in a tight range, up about 1.2% to cap off the week.
Yeah, and the 21-day line, and you can see that in general, even with this very volatile pattern, it's tended to hold the 21-day line in a very loose fashion. This has been a very volatile stock. It keeps going up, but it's been very volatile. But lately it's been a little tighter. I mean, especially these last several days, especially. But if you look on a weekly chart, you can really see how that action has the weekly closes have been better. In fact, I believe that might be a 3 weeks tight, which would actually provide a buying opportunity above last week's high, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
And it's 4
Yeah.
weeks into a consolidation, which would also then, a couple more weeks would then provide another buy point and over that situation. So, the stock is acting well. This is, it has, pretty strong sales growth. It seems to be moving toward profitability. It's not there yet. Believe me, it's not there yet, but definitely one to keep an eye on as it held up very well this week, traded very tightly in an extremely volatile
Mm-hmm.
market in the last few days.
Yeah. So then that would mean that the buy point here for that 3 weeks tight would be over this high here, right, Ed? At 30.69, adding those 10
That's
cents.
right. You might as well wait for it to get over the old high too, just to
Yeah.
make sure of it, just to
Yeah.
make everything nice and neat. But
Yep.
but it just shows you it's an area here. Obviously, and again, you probably want the market to do better. If the market's in this kind of turmoil,
Mm-hmm.
you may not want to be buying
Sure.
it. But then again, the odds of it surging like that without the market doing a little better is unlikely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's such a good point. We want to be staying in step with the market. You don't want to be aggressively buying stocks when the market is coming under pressure. But for the latest take on our market outlook, make sure you read today's big picture column at investors.com for further insights there. And then over the weekend, we have a weekend stock market update from our very own Mike Webster, which some good weekend homework for you there.
Yeah, I really like that article because it's day by day, because it's easy in hindsight to say, oh, this day wasn't so bad or this wasn't so good. But on a day-to-day basis, he really analyzes it that way and then puts it all in perspective. I really like the way he does it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so you can check that out at investors.com as well in our main navigation under the market trend tab, that and the big picture. So we encourage you to check both of those out, especially given a little bit of a shift that we've seen, to put it lightly,
That's right.
towards the end of this week after what has been just such a historic rally.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, everyone. That is it for today. Thanks so much for joining us, and make sure to tune in Monday morning on IBD Live, our morning live stream where our experts share their screens, and they're going to be putting these last couple of days in particular in perspective and talk in more detail about what Ed and I are talking here about, the kind of environment that you want to see for buying stocks and the action that we're seeing for those leading names.
Yeah, and in times like this, we
That
look
are
at
out
more
there.
market analysis and maybe hedging strategies, just
Yep.
how to deal with this environment. So we're always trying to adapt to the market.
Yes. So if you haven't already, make sure to check that out at investors.com/IBD Live. We'll see you there on Monday morning. Hope you have a great weekend, and we'll see you back on this show right here next week. Bye-bye.